ex-husband, the man who once crushed my dignity, and his new wife were touring the penthouse in my building. Hello, everyone. I hope your day is wonderful, your health is strong, and that you keep toxic energy far away from your life. Today's story is about a woman who was once underestimated and looked down on by her ex-husband and the woman he chose after her. It's one of those situations that hurts just to imagine, but here's where everything changes. What if the place they proudly show off as a symbol of their success actually belongs to you? Our main character, Salani, unexpectedly comes face to face with her ex-husband Galani and his new wife, Kina, the woman who once stood in the shadows and now walks as if she owns the world. With a fake smile, Kina says, well, look who's here," then adds sweetly, "It's sad to see you all by yourself." But she had no idea that the marble floor beneath her heels was part of the very penthouse owned by Salani. Can you imagine their faces when the truth finally comes out? Just thinking about it feels satisfying, doesn't it? And trust me, the ending delivers that satisfaction in the most graceful way. Before we jump into this emotional story, take a second to support the channel by hitting like, subscribing, and turning on notifications. Your support truly means everything. The morning sun poured through the glass walls of a towering skyscraper in downtown Atlanta. High above the city, in the top-floor penthouse, stood a woman in a perfectly tailored power suit, quietly watching the streets below. Her name was Salani. A simple but elegant diamond ring shimmered on her finger. She was not the same woman she used to be, the one who cried in silence and questioned her worth every night. That woman was gone. Now she was the rightful owner of this breathtaking penthouse in the Onyx Tower. Footsteps approached behind her. A tall man in a sharp suit gently placed his arms around her shoulders. It was Dari, her husband, the man who had helped her rebuild her heart. "Thinking again?" he asked softly. "The investors will arrive soon." Salani smiled faintly. "Sometimes I still can't believe it. I once dreamed of a tiny apartment, and now I'm standing at the top of my own building." Dari squeezed her hand. "This isn't luck. It's the result of your strength, endurance, and faith. You earned this. You're not the woman they left behind. You're the woman they couldn't recognize." His words took her back 5 years. In her former mother-in-law's living room, cluttered with flashy decor and empty pride, Salani had knelt on the cold floor while insults poured down on her like rain. Her mother-in-law pointed at her and sneered, praising Kina for her success and mocking Salani as useless. Salani had tried to explain herself, reminding them she had worked as hard as she could, that she never stopped trying. But Galani interrupted her without a shred of compassion, standing beside Kina as if Salani had never mattered at all. Kina laughed softly, brushing her hair over her shoulder. "Stop getting upset," she said to Galani. "Just tell her to leave already. You know I'll handle the expenses anyway." That sentence shattered what little dignity Salani had left. In that moment, she realized she had been replaced not by love, but by convenience. "Pack your things," Galani said coldly. "I'm done struggling. I want a better life." His mother added cruelly, "Take only the clothes you came in with. You own nothing here." That night, Salani walked into the storm with an old suitcase and an empty heart, but one powerful promise burned inside her. She would rise again, and she did. Dari's voice pulled her back to the present. Salani looked at him and whispered, "I was just remembering." "That life is over," he said gently. "This one is yours now." Just then, he mentioned that some wealthy clients insisted on seeing the penthouse that day. Salani straightened her blazer and nodded calmly. "Let them look," she said, "but I'll watch from a distance." Moments later, a black rental car pulled into the lobby. Inside it were Galani, Kina, and his mother. Kina admired the grand lobby with wide eyes. "This place is unbelievable. Just imagine the faces at the club when they hear where I live." Galani forced a smile, hiding his stress. His savings had nearly vanished just to maintain the image of success. From the back seat, his mother proudly said, "Now this is the kind of life my son deserves. Not like that Salani we all know, she could never make it this far." None of them knew the truth yet, but they were about to. On the ground floor, the elevator chimed softly as its doors opened. Salani stepped out with calm confidence, Dari by her side. At the same moment, the glass doors of the lobby slid open, and 3 familiar figures walked in, dressed to impress, completely unaware they were about to face a truth that would shatter their illusions. Salani hadn't seen them yet, but something in the air felt wrong, heavy, like the first warning before a storm. Keena's heels echoed sharply across the polished marble of Onyx Tower. She moved like she owned the place, sunglasses perched on her head to protect her flawless hairstyle, a luxury handbag hanging from her wrist as if it were a spotlight demanding attention. Behind her came Galani's mother, forcing a smile and trying desperately to match her daughter-in-law's glamorous energy. Galani followed last, uneasy, distracted, checking his jacket pocket again and again to make sure his wallet was still there. Sweat gathered at his temples, even though the lobby was cool. Inside his mind, everything was chaos. His account was empty, his business was failing, and yet there he was, trapped in a performance he couldn't afford. "Walk properly," Keena whispered sharply, tugging his arm when she noticed him falling behind. "You're about to live in a penthouse, not deliver packages. Stand tall." Galani swallowed. "Do we really need the penthouse?" he muttered. "The other apartments are beautiful too. Same view, same comfort. The top floor is just too expensive." She stopped suddenly, nearly causing her mother-in-law to run into her back. "Are you serious?" Keno snapped. "My friends' husbands own companies, estates, and luxury homes, and I, the wife of an entrepreneur, should settle for a basic unit? What kind of image is that?" Her mother-in-law quickly joined in. "She's right, Galani. A beautiful woman needs a lifestyle to match her. Don't think small like your ex-wife. That girl was happy with nothing. Keena deserves better. If you start cutting corners, success will leave you." Galani said nothing, but inside, he wanted to scream. His debts were growing, his income shrinking. He had even taken out a loan just to pay the deposit just to look impressive. "Yes, Mom. I understand," he replied quietly. They approached the grand reception desk made of dark stone and crystal accents. Staff in perfect uniforms welcomed them with polite smiles. Keena dropped her bag loudly on the counter. "We're here to see the penthouse," she announced. "It's still available, right? My husband can pay a full year up front if needed." The receptionist remained calm. "Welcome to Onyx Tower. Yes, the royal penthouse is available. However, we'll first need to verify identity and assign a senior agent for the tour." "Verify?" the mother-in-law snapped. "What kind of nonsense is that? We're not random visitors. My son runs a company, just take the card." Galani quickly stepped in, handing over his ID with an unsteady hand. "Please forgive her. She just hates waiting." While the system processed his details, Keena pulled out her phone and started a live stream. "Hi guys. I'm at my new place." She smiled at the camera, panning across the ceiling. "It's insane in here. So luxurious. My husband spoils me. As soon as I get the keys, I'll give you a tour." Galani stared at her in silence, and suddenly, he remembered Salani. She never asked for anything, saved every dollar, believed in him even when nothing worked out. Back then, he called her boring. Now, drowning in debt just to keep up appearances, her simplicity haunted him. "Excuse me," Keena snapped, turning back to the receptionist. "Who are our neighbors? I hope they're our kind of people." The receptionist gave a composed smile. "Only selected residents live on the upper floors. The building owner herself often works here. She is a woman of great importance." Keena beamed. "Perfect. That's our level, right, Mama? Maybe I'll even befriend her. She might help Galani's business." Her mother nodded eagerly. "That's how real connections work, not like where Salani used to live. Back there, nothing important ever happened." They laughed quietly, completely unaware that the person they were mocking was the woman who owned the ground beneath their feet. Just then, an agent stepped out of the elevator. "Mr. Galani, Mrs. Keena, this way, please." As they turned to follow him, a private elevator in the corner opened. 2 people stepped out, but Keena and Galani never looked up from their phones. Only a few feet separated them from Solani now, and destiny from its moment. The agent guided them down a gold-toned hallway, describing the rooftop pool and private gym. Kina nodded distractedly, adjusting sunglasses she didn't need. Galani's mother wandered off to touch an antique vase to see if it was real. "This elevator is for penthouse residents only," the agent explained, pressing the button. The doors opened with a soft chime, and that was when he noticed two figures standing nearby. His expression changed. A woman in a flawless cream-colored dress, elegant, understated, and without a single flashy detail, was speaking calmly with a man beside her. She held a tablet. He typed notes into his phone. Their posture, their focus, their presence, everything about them radiated composure and quiet authority. Galani was the first to notice. His steps halted instantly. His already pale face drained of every remaining shade. His pulse spiked not from affection, but from raw humiliation and dread. "Solani," he whispered, barely audible. The name slipped out before he could stop himself. Kina's head jerked toward him. "Who?" she demanded. She followed his line of sight. Her eyes narrowed as she scanned the woman in the cream dress, her posture, her confidence, her elegance. A few seconds later, Kina smirked. Well, look at that. Talk about a small world," she said loudly, her voice echoing through the hall. She strutted forward, closing the distance with theatrical confidence. Solani lifted her head slowly. She looked at Kina, and nothing about her expression changed. No shock, no discomfort, not even recognition. Her eyes were calm, sharp, untouchable. She wasn't the woman from 5 years ago who lowered her gaze and apologized for existing. "What are you doing here?" Kina demanded, crossing her arms. "Selling insurance? Or maybe cleaning the building? These places need staff, you know." Her mother-in-law hurried to join her, lifting her chin in exaggerated disgust. "No wonder the air suddenly changed," she sneered loudly. "Smells like old failure in here. Move aside, you're blocking the way of people who actually succeeded." Galani stayed behind them, rooted to the floor, unable to lift his eyes. Because for the first time in years, he really saw her. No flashy brands, no heavy jewelry, no loud makeup. But the quiet power around her was undeniable. Yet his terrified mind refused to accept the obvious. He clung to the old belief that she must still be living poorly. Next to her, Dari's jaw tightened, his hands curled into fists. As a husband who adored her, hearing those insults in her own building made his blood boil. "Watch your tone," he growled, stepping forward, but Solani gently placed a hand on his arm. She shook her head. "Not yet," her eyes said. "Let them talk." Then she looked at the two women. Her voice stayed even, smooth, and emotionless. "Go ahead, Mrs. Kina. There's plenty of room here. I'm not in anyone's way." Kina scoffed. "What an attitude. Let's go, babe. Don't stare at her. I don't want any of that bad luck rubbing off on us. We have a penthouse to see." Her mother-in-law added with a snort, "And listen clearly, don't come begging my son for money after you see how we're living. We'll pretend we've never met you." Solani smiled softly, a small, unreadable smile that made both women uncomfortable without knowing why. "Of course, ma'am," she said calmly. "And don't worry, your son will never have to ask me for anything. Enjoy your visit." Mr. Vance, the marketing agent, practically leapt forward, eager to escape the tension. "This way, please. The elevator is ready." The group stepped inside. Just before the doors slid shut, Kina gave Solani a mocking, childish wave. Galani didn't wave. He didn't look. He only lowered his head in shame. The doors closed. The numbers above the elevator rose. Silence settled again. Dari exhaled sharply. "I can't believe you stayed quiet. I wanted to walk them right out of the building." But Solani simply returned to her tablet, tapping through screens as though nothing had happened. "Losing our temper in the lobby," she said calmly, "would only make us look small. Let them enjoy their moment. The higher arrogance rises, the harder it falls when the truth hits." She glanced toward the elevator. "Besides, isn't it hilarious? They're bragging about a property that sits in our safe." Dari stared at her, a smile slowly forming. "You're unbelievable," he murmured. "Your calm is dangerous." "Come on," she said, already walking toward the staff elevator. "Let's visit the CCTV control room. I want to make sure our special guests get the experience they deserve, with a surprise they'll never forget." Meanwhile, the other elevator climbed toward the top floor. Kina was still complaining. "Great, now my mood is ruined," she snapped, staring at her reflection. "Did you see her dress? Looked like bargain bin fabric? She must be suffering since the divorce." "Maybe," Galani muttered, but his mind wasn't on her clothes. He had noticed something else, something terrifying. The watch on the man beside Salani. He recognized it instantly. A limited edition, worth as much as a full-sized home. Who was that man? If Salani was struggling? How could her companion wear something like that? But fear kept him from digging deeper. Ding! The doors opened at the very top, and suddenly all three fell completely silent. The penthouse looked like a palace in the sky. White marble with gold accents. A chandelier the size of a small car. Windows stretching from wall to wall, revealing clouds so close it felt like they could touch them. "My goodness," his mother whispered, trembling. This is paradise. Just this sofa probably costs more than our neighbor's whole car." Kina rushed forward and spread her arms wide at the massive window, as if she wanted the entire city to fall into her embrace. "This is unbelievable! This is living!" she cried out, spinning in delight as her dress flared around her. Then she turned to Galani with eyes full of pressure and glittering demand. "Look at that view, honey. It's perfect for my pictures. I don't care how you're getting this place. End of story." Mr. Vance kept his polite, businesslike smile. He had that calm expression of someone who had seen hundreds of people lose their composure in rooms like this. "This is the royal suite," he explained smoothly. 3,800 square feet. Fully automated system, 3 bedrooms with private bathrooms, a private office, and even exclusive rooftop landing access if needed. "A landing pad?" Galani's mother gasped, slapping her son's shoulder. "Did you hear that? One day we'll park our own helicopter up there. Just imagine the looks on everyone's faces when they find out where we live." Galani forced a smile, but his hands were shaking as he stared at the paper in his grip. The rent alone equaled 2 full years of profit from his business, on a good year. And right now, his business wasn't moving at all. "Why are you standing there?" Kina snapped. "Take pictures of me already." She climbed onto the granite counter and posed like she belonged in a magazine. Galani lifted his phone with tired hands. A notification flashed on his screen for half a second. "Loan payment due today. Immediate attention required." He swiped it away before she could see. Trying to sound confident, he cleared his throat. "Mr. Vance, is there any kind of benefit if we pay early? For example, a full year up front?" Kina shot him a look. "Discount? Are you serious? Rich people don't ask for discounts, just pay." "What's wrong with you?" Mr. Vance nodded politely. "There is a small reduction for advance payment, yes, but building policy also requires a security deposit equal to 3 months of rent today in order to reserve the suite." 3 months. Galani froze. That was a number his wallet simply couldn't survive. "Oh, that's nothing," his mother said proudly, exploring the luxury kitchen like she owned it already. "Pay it. This is about status. You don't want to live like your ex-wife again, do you?" Kina slipped her arm through his. "Exactly. Did you see Salani downstairs?" she whispered. "Just imagine her face when she finds out where we're living. This proves everything, baby. You picked the right woman. A diamond belongs in velvet, not cardboard." Her words cut deep. Galani stared at her perfect makeup, polished smile, and a lifestyle he couldn't afford. So different from Salani, who used to say, "Let's save it for the business." "I'll take care of it," he said quietly. Mr. Vance glanced at his watch. "Feel free to view the master bedroom. I'll check with management quickly. There happens to be another interested party." "Another client?" Kina snapped. "No, this is mine. Transfer the money now." Mr. Vance bowed politely and departed. The door closed. The mother-in-law kicked off her shoes. These heels are killing me. If there's a tub in there, I'm soaking tonight. Mom, we haven't signed, Galani began. It's ours, Kina interrupted, walking toward the bedroom. Come look, this place is insane. She threw herself onto the giant bed, laughing. I'm the Queen of Atlanta, she said dreamily. You did good marrying me. Galani stood frozen in the doorway. Then slowly, he pulled out his phone. His bank app opened. Empty. His thoughts spiraled. A friend? A second loan? His mother's house? Desperation was rewriting his conscience. Meanwhile, just one floor away, Solani watched everything unfold on a crystal-clear monitor. Comfortably seated, tea in hand, eyes sharp. On the screen, Kina bouncing on the bed. Her ex-mother-in-law opening cabinets like she owned the place. Galani pacing and whispering urgently into his phone. They really think they've arrived, Solani murmured to Dari, who stood beside her. They don't realize they're standing on a cliff. Dari shook his head as he saw the shoes thrown across the marble floor. Such disrespect. Solani smiled faintly. Let them dream. She checked her watch. 5 minutes, she said softly. Then Mr. Thorne will wake them up. Galani's voice crackled through the monitors as he begged someone on the other end of the line. Solani exhaled slowly. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for him, she whispered. All that suffering, just to impress people who don't love him. That is his choice, Dari said quietly, and now it's our turn to teach them what real ownership looks like. From the penthouse cameras, Kina's voice echoed loudly. Galani, come take a picture with me on the balcony. The words bounced off marble walls that were about to become silent witnesses to the collapse of their pride. Galani ended his call with a clenched jaw. His friend had refused to help. No money, no lifeline. He inhaled deeply, pulled his fake smile back into place, and walked toward the woman who expected everything from him. I'm coming, honey, he said, heading for the balcony, without realizing his time had nearly run out. In the control room, Dari's hands tightened into fists as he stared at the monitor. On screen, Galani's mother dug into a bag of chips and casually brushed the crumbs into the soft leather couch. That's enough, Dari growled. That sofa was custom-made and shipped from Italy. And she's treating it like a park bench. I'm calling security. But Solani placed her hand over his. Wait, she said softly. If we kick them out now, they'll play innocent and say the owner is unreasonable. We're not giving them a stage for drama. They're disrespecting you and ruining your home. That's exactly why we wait, Solani replied calmly. Let them feel like they own everything in this room. The deeper they sink into that fantasy, the harder reality will hit. Her eyes returned to the screen. Mr. Vance will be the beginning of their awakening. Up in the penthouse, it felt like a celebration. Kina had already taken dozens of photos. Sitting beside her mother-in-law, she fanned herself with the brochure. When we move in, she chirped, you'll visit all the time. Those relatives who doubted us will finally shut up when they see how successful Galani is. Her mother-in-law nodded proudly. You're everything he needed, not like her. That Solani only brought trouble. Galani stood by the window, words echoing in his ears, mind racing. Why are you so pale? His mother asked. It's freezing in here. I just didn't eat breakfast, he lied. Then the door opened. Mr. Vance returned. In one hand, a card terminal. In the other, a thick folder of documents. Thank you for waiting, he said professionally. Good news. The unit is available, and we've reserved it for you for today in good faith. Kina squealed and clung to Galani's arm. See? Life always rewards winners. Come on, baby. Pay up. I can't wait to post this. Mr. Vance placed the terminal on the marble counter. To secure the penthouse, the deposit plus the first month's rent is due now. The total is $100,000. The number hit Galani like ice water. $100,000? He repeated, voice cracking. Could I send it tomorrow? My transfer limit. Kina elbowed him hard. Just use your premium card. That's what it's for. Galani froze. That card had been maxed out weeks ago. Still, he pulled it from his wallet and handed it over like a gambler offering his last chip. Inside, he begged for a miracle. Mr. Vance swiped the card. Beep. Please enter your code. Galani typed it with shaking fingers. Beep. The screen flashed red. Transaction declined. I'm sorry, Mr. Vance said calmly. Keena frowned. What do you mean declined? You must have typed it wrong. The chip might be dirty, Galani muttered. Please try again. Mr. Vance did. Same result. Declined. His mother's voice rose. Use another card. Stop wasting time. Galani pulled out his debit card. He knew it wouldn't work, but he had no choice. Beep. The screen flashed again. Insufficient funds. Mr. Vance no longer smiled. Sir, do you have another method of payment, or should I cancel the reservation? Keena's face drained of color. Cancel? What are you talking about, Galani? Keena snapped. Are you really about to rent me an apartment? Why isn't any card working? Are you doing this on purpose so we can't live here? That's not it, Galani insisted weakly. The bank system must be glitching. I'm sure the money is there. I can give you 5 more minutes, Mr. Vance replied calmly, but his tone had turned firm. If payment is not completed, you'll need to leave the unit. We have another top-tier client arriving shortly. And who exactly is that? The mother-in-law sneered. We're not VIP now. My son has money. In the control room, Salani smiled softly as she watched Galani unravel. It's time, she said quietly. Mr. Vance did his part. Now the building owner enters the story. Dari straightened his jacket. I can't wait to see their faces. They walked toward the penthouse, not to argue, not to raise their voices, but to deliver a moment of truth that would quietly shatter every illusion. Back upstairs, the atmosphere had shifted from excitement to suffocating tension. Each sharp beep from the terminal felt like a final verdict on Galani's pride. Sweat soaked through his collar. Do something, Keena screamed. This is humiliating. What kind of businessman can't make a simple payment? Are you trying to embarrass me in front of this clerk? Mr. Vance inhaled slowly, still professional but visibly done being insulted. Ma'am, I'm only following company procedure. Without payment, I cannot reserve this unit. The mother-in-law stormed forward, pointing an accusing finger at him. Don't you dare talk about my son's finances. Your machine must be faulty. My son has more money than you'll ever see. You wouldn't understand how wealthy families manage funds. Galani nodded desperately. Yes, most of my money is in long-term investments. I simply didn't transfer it in time. Please, give me an hour. Mr. Vance shook his head. I'm sorry, sir. Reservations are processed instantly. If payment is not confirmed, the property automatically goes to the next client. He reached for his walkie-talkie. And as mentioned earlier, an important guest is arriving any moment. Please cooperate and leave peacefully. The word leave pushed Keena over the edge. She grabbed the brochure and flung it at Mr. Vance's face. How dare you throw me out? She shrieked. You have no idea who my husband is. Call your boss right now. I'll make sure you regret treating me this way. Galani tried to tug her arm down. Calm down, please. She shoved him away. You're useless. Stand up for me. Call your powerful friends. Don't let them treat us like this. His mother joined in, accusing staff of trying to trick them, shouting over everyone. Galani stood frozen, trapped between two people demanding strength he didn't have. And then, the front door opened. A deep, authoritative voice cut through the chaos. What is going on here? A man in a gray suit stepped in. Calm, controlled, unmistakably in charge. 2 security guards stood behind him. Mr. Vance immediately bowed. Good afternoon, sir. These guests refuse to vacate after multiple payment failures and have been verbally aggressive. The man studied Galani, Keena, and his mother in silence. So, he said coolly, you're the ones causing the disturbance. Instead of fear, Keena felt hope. She turned to him with forced innocence. Ah, you must be the manager. Finally, someone with authority. Your employee here is being extremely rude to us. She pointed dramatically at Mr. Vance, certain this man had come to defend her, not realizing she was about to face the wrong authority altogether. Are you really throwing us out over some tiny bank issue? Keena snapped. "We're not ordinary people, Mr. Director. My husband is a successful businessman. We were going to pay for this place up front, but your service is awful. I know lawyers. This building could hear from them." The mother-in-law jumped in immediately, nodding hard. "That's right. Not even a welcome drink, and you're already demanding money like we're strangers. My son lives in abundance." Mr. Thorne didn't react. He walked slowly to the table, picked up the brochure Keena had thrown, and wiped it with a handkerchief as if it were dirty. "Let me be very clear," he said quietly. "Respect in this building isn't earned by shouting, and according to our system, Mr. Galani's card was declined due to insufficient funds. That isn't a system error, that's a financial reality." Galani turned pale. Mr. Thorne continued calmly, locking eyes with Keena. "And about lawsuits, we have clear video of you throwing an object at my employee. That could easily become a legal issue of its own. Would you like us to proceed with that first?" Keena stopped talking instantly. But we're customers," the mother-in-law insisted weakly. "Customers," Mr. Thorne replied firmly, "are those who are able to pay." Then he added, "Now please step aside. The owner of this building and this penthouse has arrived, and she does not tolerate uninvited guests inside her private space." "The owner?" Galani echoed, suddenly hopeful. "Mr. Director, perhaps I know her. Say my name, Galani. Maybe she'll recognize it." Keena brightened. "Of course he knows her. Wealthy people all know each other. Call her in. Let's see who's really in charge." Mr. Thorne studied Galani with quiet amusement. "How interesting," he said. "She does know you. Very well." He nodded to security. "Open the doors. Please welcome the president of Onyx Tower." The double doors swung open. 2 figures stood in the doorway, outlined by light. One step forward, then another. Galani's breath caught, because the woman who entered was not the person he expected. It was Salani. Not the quiet Salani, not the fragile Salani, but a woman dressed like power itself, head held high, eyes calm, presence unmistakable. Beside her walked Dari. Keena's face drained instantly. "You?" she shouted. "You came to ask for work?" Mr. Thorne spoke loudly, cutting through the chaos. "President Salani, Director Dari, welcome." Silence, heavy and suffocating. The mother-in-law froze. Keena stared without blinking. Galani felt the floor sink beneath his feet. Then Keena laughed, loud, forced, wild. She clutched her stomach as if she couldn't breathe from laughter. "This is hilarious," she sneered. "You hired actors now? How much did you pay him to say this place is yours? A sandwich? A tip?" The mother-in-law exhaled in relief, catching on. "I nearly believed it. How could someone like her own a place like this?" But Galani didn't laugh. His eyes locked onto Salani's ring, the briefcase in Dari's hand. The unshakable authority in the room. Nothing about this felt fake. "Keena, Mom," he whispered. "Stop." But Keena stepped closer, fearless. "Admit it, Salani. You're just pretending. You probably clean here, or stole a key, or you're using someone." Mr. Thorne moved to speak, but Salani lifted her hand. He stopped. She walked forward calmly, stepping into Keena's personal space. Her voice was quiet, unbreakable. "Talk," Salani said. "Say everything you've been waiting years to say." Her eyes didn't blink. "The more you speak," she continued calmly, "the clearer it becomes who the smallest person in this room really is." She turned away from Keena like she no longer existed. Then she walked to the sofa, ran her fingers across the leather, and stopped. Crumbs. Her expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room did. "I have nothing left." "What?" Keena and the mother-in-law shouted at the same time. Keena grabbed her bag in panic, yanked out Galani's phone, and shoved it in his face. "Unlock it. Now. I want to see your banking app." Her voice cracked as she screamed. With shaking hands, Galani opened the screen. Keena ripped the phone from him and froze. The balance wasn't millions. It wasn't thousands. It wasn't even close. $150. Below it, a late notice for an online loan of $20,000 due today. No, This is a lie, she whispered. The phone slipped from her hand and smashed against the marble floor. The screen shattered, just like the world she thought she lived in. "You've been lying to me," she screamed. "You said you were wealthy. You said you were a businessman. You're broke." The mother-in-law grabbed Galani and shook him violently. "Tell me this isn't real. Where's the money I lent you for your company? Don't tell me that's gone too." Galani collapsed inward. He couldn't speak. He could only cry. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I just wanted to make you happy. I thought if we lived in luxury, everything would change." "You didn't make a mistake," Kaina snapped. "You lost your mind." She struck his chest again and again with her bag. "If I'd known, I never would have married you. Never. I regret everything." Moments ago, they were showing off imaginary wealth. Now they were tearing each other apart over real money. Salani watched quietly. There was no satisfaction in her heart, only pity. They were living in a prison they built themselves, a world made of lies and fragile pride. "That's enough," Salani said. Her calm voice cut through the screaming. Kina froze. Her makeup was smeared, her breath uneven, her eyes wild. Salani looked at them with quiet clarity. "Look at you," she said softly. "Less than $200 and your family has fallen apart. That tells me everything." Then she turned to Dari. "Cancel the damages." Dari frowned. "But no," Salani said gently. "Taking money from people who might not even manage dinner tomorrow means nothing to me. I don't want it." That sentence crushed Galani more than anything else. The woman he once called worthless now saw him as completely empty. Salani looked at him once more. "Keep the money you have left. Use it for a ride home. You probably owe for the car downstairs too, don't you?" Galani nodded weakly. "I'll even forget the fine," she added, "on one condition." The mother-in-law looked up instantly. "A condition? Tell me. Anything." "You won't exit through the front," Salani said calmly, pointing toward the back. "You'll leave through the service elevator and emergency stairs." Kina's eyes widened. "That one? The dirty one? I'm not going down there." Dari raised his phone. "Then we call authorities and invite the media." Kina went pale. Public exposure terrified her more than anything. "No, don't," she whispered. Then she turned on Galani with contempt. "Let's go. This isn't over." Mr. Thorne signaled to Mr. Vance. "Escort them out through the back. Don't let them wander." As they were led away, Galani tried one last time to look at Salani, searching for mercy. She turned away. "Don't ruin this view with regret that arrived too late." The steel door shut behind them. And just like that, a chapter ended. Dari slipped his arm around her. "You're too kind. You let them go without punishment." Salani smiled in quiet relief. "Money punishment fades, but humiliation lasts. They'll go home with nothing, and that truth will follow them everywhere." Dari nodded. "But you're not finished with Galani," he said softly. "I saw the card you slipped into his pocket." She laughed softly. "No, this story isn't over." She looked ahead. "Tomorrow, let's see if he becomes a man, or stays a shadow." Outside, behind the tower, reality awaited them. No luxury, no illusion, only empty pockets, and a broken future. The afternoon sun scorched the streets, but it was nothing compared to the fire burning across Galani's face. As they were pushed out through the back exit near the dumpsters of the Onyx Tower, the three of them looked like people escaping a trap after losing everything inside it. The sour smell of food waste from the trash bins clung to their expensive clothes like mockery. Kina walked ahead quickly, her heels striking the cracked asphalt in pure anger. "Kina, wait! Where are we going?" Galani called, out of breath, trying to catch up. Behind him, his mother staggered, holding her aching knees. Kina spun around, her eyes sharp with fury. "There is no we anymore. You take care of your mother and your life full of lies. I'm going to my parents' house." "Kina, please, let's talk first. I swear I'll find money somewhere," Galani pleaded, reaching for her hand. "Don't touch me," she snapped, shoving him away. "From where? Your friends already blocked you. The rental car is probably gone because you didn't pay. How do you expect us to get home?" A taxi rolled by. Without hesitation, Kaina waved it down, climbed in, and slammed the door shut. The car sped away, taking with it Galani's wife and every illusion he had left. "Kina, wait!" his mother shouted, but the city swallowed her voice. Now only Galani and his mother stood on the sidewalk. His mother looked at him through smeared makeup and tired eyes. "How did we end up like this?" she whispered. "You said you'd take care of me. You said I'd be proud. Now we have nothing. What are we going to eat tomorrow?" Galani slowly sank down onto the curb, his expensive suit gathering dust. He buried his face in his hands. "It's our punishment, Mama," he murmured. "We threw away a diamond to chase a stone, and now even the stone is gone." With the last $150 left to his name, Galani paid for a ride share back to their small apartment. The ride felt endless. The silence between him and his mother was heavier than any argument. When they arrived, the door was slightly open. Galani stepped inside with his heart pounding. The closets were empty. Kina's clothes, bags, and jewelry were gone. Only a sheet of paper remained on the table. "Divorce papers will arrive next week? Don't look for me?" Galani laughed quietly, an empty, broken sound. "She left as soon as the money disappeared," he whispered into the room. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat on the steps outside while mosquitoes buzzed and his mother coughed in the dark apartment. The electricity bill hadn't been paid in 2 months. Any day now it would be shut off. He reached into his pocket for a cigarette only to touch something unfamiliar. A business card. Under the dim yellow light he read, "President, Onyx Group, Salani" on the back. In neat handwriting, "A man's worth isn't measured by what he wears, but by whether he takes responsibility for his life. If you are tired of living in fantasy, come tomorrow at 8 a.m. The back door is always open for those willing to start over." Galani stared at the card like it had burned into his skin. The woman he once discarded was now the only one offering him a way out. Not money, a chance, to work, to rebuild, to earn. His pride screamed, "Cleaner? In her building? What will people think?" Then he heard his mother coughing again inside. He looked at his empty wallet. Pride suddenly felt useless. Tears fell silently onto the card. That night, Galani buried the man he pretended to be. And in the morning, a new one would rise. The next day, the sun reflected brilliantly off the Onyx Tower. At the rear entrance, employees gathered for morning shifts. The cleaning crew prepared their supplies: mops, buckets, gloves. At exactly 8 a.m., a man approached security. No suit, no expensive shoes, just a simple white shirt and black pants. It was Galani. Mr. Vance noticed him immediately and stepped closer. "Mr. Galani?" he asked carefully. "What are you doing here?" Galani took a breath. All pride? Gone. He handed over Salani's business card. "I'm not looking for an apartment," he said quietly. "I'm looking for work. President Salani told me there was an opening on the cleaning team." Mr. Vance stared. Around them, staff whispered, "Isn't that the guy from yesterday?" Galani heard it, felt it, but he didn't move. "Please," he said, "I need this job. I'm willing to accept any position. I just want to work." For the first time, Mr. Vance smiled, not a professional smile, but a real one. The arrogance was gone from Galani's eyes. What had replaced it was exhaustion and truth. "Follow me to HR," Mr. Vance said simply. "But remember, no special treatment just because you know the owner." "I understand," Galani replied. High above, behind the glass walls of the penthouse, Salani watched the security monitors as Galani walked behind Mr. Vance with his head lowered. "He showed up," Dari said quietly. Salani nodded. "He finally chose responsibility over pretending. The part of him I once loved wasn't completely lost." "Will you speak to him?" Dari asked. "Not yet," she replied. "Let him walk this road on his own. Let him feel what it means to earn a living with effort instead of illusion. That will teach him more than any lecture ever could." She smiled softly at her husband. Today wasn't about revenge, it was about returning a man to reality. And down below, the paperwork began. On the line titled Position Applied For, Galani wrote, Cleaning and Maintenance Team. There was no glamour in his handwriting, only truth. It marked the start of a life he had never known, and finally deserved. 3 months passed. For those who were rebuilding, time moved slowly. For those living in peace, it flew. That morning, the lobby of the Onyx Tower buzzed with activity. Business people rushed past polished floors and glass walls shining with light. Near a tall marble column, a man in a dark blue uniform scrubbed a coffee stain from the floor. It was Galani. No flashy suits, no watches meant to impress, just honest work. His uniform badge read, Cleaning Team. He lifted a heavy trash bag and carried it toward the back entrance. It was dirty, smelly, unpleasant, but to him, it felt lighter than any life he had ever lived before. Because it was clean. He no longer feared phone alerts, no longer avoided mirrors, no longer lied. The weight on his shoulders now was real, and so was his dignity. As for Kina, the news Galani eventually heard was short and bitter. She had been detained after trying the same trick on another wealthy man. The lifestyle she adored had led her somewhere she never imagined, a place with no cameras and no audience. And Galani's mother? She changed. Every evening she waited for her son at the door with teary eyes. No more complaints, no more dreams of glory, just quiet gratitude. The food he brought home with his weekly pay tasted better than any banquet they had ever imagined. Because it was honest. That afternoon, a dark luxury car rolled into the lobby. The doors opened. Salani stepped out with Dari by her side. She had just received an award honoring her achievements. Employees greeted her respectfully. Her eyes moved naturally until they found Galani. He stopped cleaning. He stood straight and respectfully bowed, not as an ex-husband, but as an employee. Salani walked toward him. "How's the work going?" she asked gently. "Good, President," Galani replied with confidence. "With my first paycheck, I cleared my mother's overdue bills and bought her medicine. I'm saving everything else to repay my debts." She smiled. "This floor has never been cleaner," she said. "You're better at cleaning reality than pretending to live it." Galani nodded slowly. "I was wrong about everything," he said. "I won't undo the past, but I want you to know I regret it, and I'm trying to become someone better." Salani met his eyes. "The day you walked in through the back door and picked up that mop. I forgave you," she said softly. "From now on, be a good son. Let honest effort wash away what pride once broke." She turned to Dari. "Let's go." Before leaving, Dari lightly tapped Galani's shoulder. "Keep going," he said kindly. Galani nodded. As the VIP elevator doors closed, Salani didn't look back. Her victory wasn't in watching him fall, it was in watching him rise quietly. Galani returned to his work. In the reflection of the polished floor, he no longer saw a man pretending to be rich. He saw a man rebuilding his life. Slowly, truthfully, floor by floor. Never judge someone by what they wear today. Life turns suddenly. Wealth built on illusion will disappear overnight. But what's built on honesty lasts. If this story moved you, tell me which city you're listening from. And if you enjoyed it, your support means everything. More stories are waiting for you. Thank you for being here.